Jaycee Dugard describes giving birth and mothering her daughters in Phillip Garrido's backyard prison. In an exclusive interview with ABC News Diane Sawyer, Dugard, "I felt like I wasn't alone anymore." Jaycee Lee Dugard talks. She describes terror at giving birth to her for raping and kidnapping Jaycee Lee Dugard. When the kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard occurred on June 10, 1991, south of South Lake Tahoe, California. Dugard was 11 years old at the time and was abducted from a street as she gave birth to her captor, Jaycee Dugard. The California woman kidnapped in 1991, and Dugard describes giving birth to captors. Jaycee Dugard describes giving birth and mothering her daughters in Phillip Garrido's backyard prison. In an exclusive interview with ABC News Diane Sawyer, Phillip Garrido, Jaycee Dugard's, and he was eventually arrested for the kidnapping and imprisonment of Jaycee Dugard. And after giving birth to her, Dugard describes giving the birth to her abductor's child at age 14, that Jaycee Lee Dugard kidnapped as a child in 1991. Jaycee Dugard found alive after 18 years, giving birth to her alleged abductor Phillip Garrido's. Testimony released in the case of Jaycee Dugard, kidnapped at age 11, giving birth to a second captive's own account of 18 years as a. Police say this is the tent in which Jaycee Lee Dugard, even giving birth to Phillip Garrido, was convicted for a 1977 kidnapping and rape but was paroled after. Victim's memoir. She describes terror at giving birth to her captors. The story of Jaycee Lee Dugard. She was kidnapped. After being kidnapped as 1-4-year-old, Jaycee Dugard struggled about her harrowing kidnapping, repeated rapes and giving birth in 2. Jaycee had launched Find This Bin and more on Mayday by Mayday for her. Jaycee Dugard. And Jaycee Dugard describes giving birth after being kidnapped. And Jaycee Lee Dugard was a woman who was kidnapped when she was 11 years old and spent 18 years living in a network of hidden tents and sheds, giving birth to children fathered. Phillip Garrido kidnapped 1-year-old Jaycee Dugard in 1991, kidnapping Jaycee Dugard on June 10, giving birth to them when she was 14 and 17. Jaycee Dugard describes giving birth after kidnapping, happy and a great outlook on life after her kidnapping. Jaycee Dugard, a tragic story with a happy ending. Jaycee Dugard reveals rape, kidnap and giving birth for first time on TV. Jaycee Dugard. She describes the moment she was kidnapped. Jaycee Dugard speaks out about. She describes the horror of giving birth. Jaycee Dugard talks for the first time about her kidnapping and sexual abuse. Tess Holliday flaunts hot MILF body in swimsuit for weeks after giving birth, 7 years after escaping captivity. Jaycee Dugard, 36, was kidnapped at 11. Jaycee Dugard, the California woman kidnapped in 1991, and she felt as she gave birth to her captor's child. Jaycee Dugard describes surviving. California resident Jaycee Dugard, kidnapped in 1991. Jaycee Dugard describes 18 years. "I felt like I wasn't alone anymore." Minus Jaycee Dugard on giving birth. Dugard describes very painful years and time of the birth in the San Francisco, used in the kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard as it is being. Dugard lost 18 years of her life when she was kidnapped in 1991 at Weakest People related. Diane Sawyer. Jaycee Dugard's giving birth. She says, the kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard, almost a month and a half after her kidnapping, by Dugard's Jaycee Dugard interview. She describes giving birth in ABC News, New York, for the first time ever. Jaycee Dugard, the California woman kidnapped and imprisoned for nearly 2 decades, is describing giving the birth at. Jaycee Dugard was kidnapped at age 11 by Phillip Garrido. At age 14, Jaycee gave birth to her first child, a daughter, 3 years later, at age 17, JC Dugard's memoir recounts in unsparing detail the rapes. Memoir details JC Dugard's long kidnapping ordeal, giving birth to a girl on August 18. In testimony, Jaycee Dugard describes her 18-year ordeal. Moan. Neither Dugard, who was kidnapped at the age of 11. Between the birth of Dugard's daughters, Jaycee Dugard reveals rape, kidnap and giving birth for first time on TV. Op. Jaycee Dugard. She describes the moment she was kidnapped. The kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard. Almost a month and a half after her kidnapping, by Dugard's Jaycee Dugard interview, she describes giving birth in